Hi everyone, hello. This is Bob again, and today we're going to be doing the last in the introduction story to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, issue number 4. It's the last part of the four-part story, basically introducing the characters and giving us a storyline to go by. Okay, so here we go. So with the last issue, we had Onyx, Vajra, and Agravar go down a hole chasing Mgigzu, who had captured Cibriana. And if we remember, Cibriana was an elf with blonde hair who was a magic user, and she has an evil twin who is a dark elf named Kalili, and Kalili helped Mgigzu capture Cibriana because she was needed in order to open the Eye of Saloon, which would allow Mgigzu's army of creatures to escape. Okay. Also, with everybody taken, Timoth Eyebright, the centaur, was left outside of the tower. So he's saying that there's an avalanche going on. Everybody else has been trapped. All of these rocks are falling, and as we can see, this tower is falling apart. On the inside, we have the characters I was just talking about inside, trying to dodge all of the rocks. And you can see here that Onyx is saying, "Wait, what's going on through that archway up there? I see some starlight, and galloping through like a battle charger is my pal, Timoth Eyebright." Okay, he comes running in there, grabbing up Onyx and saving him from a boulder that had fallen down. I think this is an awesome two-page spread here. And seriously, of all the centaurs that I've seen in comics, Timoth is definitely my favorite. And I think that Jander Sema does an awesome job drawing him. Yeah, she's just great at it. As we can see here, she's actually the co-plotter as well on the story, so I appreciate that. Okay, the title of this last book here is Sorcerer's Moon. Okay, so here we have Vajra getting hit by a giant stone column. Vajra's tough, but this stone column is, I mean, that is hundreds of pounds of stone dropping down there and hitting her in the head. So Agravar runs and pushes her out of the way, even though it looks like she's already been hit. This column falls down, but we have to assume that Agravar has saved her. We cut to Mgigzu underneath of the Eye of Saloon, and that eye is glowing because they now have Cibriana and Kalili here in order to open it up. And we have Cibriana talking to Kalili, and Kalili's kind of, or he's explaining that with them here, the eye will enlarge, enabling him to liberate his people that have been imprisoned there by the goddess Saloon. And of course, Cibriana's like, "What is this mad creature talking about?" And Kalili, the evil twin, is like, he may be a creature, but he's definitely not mad because he knows what he's talking about. Okay. And here he can see that, again, because they have Cibriana, this gem is glowing, allowing him to access his army. But he goes into revealing the storyline here. Earlier, we saw that Cibriana, when she was born, had this blackness growing on her, and these shamans performed a ritual to release that blackness, but they were unable to capture it. It escaped, and as that blackness was flying through the land, he was able to reach out to that blackness and give it power, making it form into Cibriana's evil twin, Kalili. And then because of a magic link that was made between Kalili and Mgigzu, it allowed Mgigzu to be free from the gem, but not the rest of his army. Okay? So we get the storyline there of how, Kalili came into being. Now we have Agravar, who, looks a little hurt. We have Vajra back here, who had apparently been hit. Timoth comes running over, and he's like, "Is she alive?" And Agravar's like, "Barely. All we can do now is pray." And Timoth is like, "That's not good enough. You're a paladin. You have the ability to heal her, and you need to do that now." Okay? But we all know that Agravar had fallen on hard times. Ever since he had gotten hit with the Staff of Withering and lost the strength in his arms, he could no longer be a warrior. And he kind of gave up his faith as well and just kind of became a drunk in the streets. But now, since they got him the gauntlets of ogre strength, he's kind of back to his old self, but he hasn't like regained his courage or anything yet. So, that's a big one here. Is we're seeing this character arc with Agravar, as how he had been a fallen paladin and now he's coming back. So he's like, you're right. I ran away when the basilisk attacked, and I owe Vajra, so I need to do something. And I promise I'm not going to be a coward ever again. So he says, I'm not going to be that self-loathing Agravar anymore. Those days are over. Let me see if I can help her. So he begins praying. Now, I'm just going to say here, this has always kind of cracked me up. It's a very hard angle to draw, but I don't know. It just looks a little comical there, how his head is drawn. We're not getting the same kind of thing with Vajra, but I don't know. When I was a kid and I read that, it just, looking at that picture, I looked at it for for like an hour. Sorry, but I just thought it was funny looking. But apparently, it feels like for hours that he's sitting there praying over her until she is finally healed. And while Timothy is speaking to her, Agravar notices that Onyx is looking at something, and Onyx is saying, these stones, if you put them in a certain combination, they form a key that will open up, this portal through the stone here. And Agravar is a little amazed with that. And of course, Onyx is like, we thieves, have our secrets as well. And of course, upon going through the portal, they come across all of these creatures which belong to Imgigzu. That's part of his army. So they begin fighting, okay? Taking everybody out. Now, Vajra's arm was severely hurt, so she has it in a sling. She's unable to draw her sword and still has no problem dispatching whatever ogre, whatever comes after her. That's why you gotta love Vajra, okay? Seeing a dwarf with a blowgun, I don't know. Again, that's just something I never saw. I would see a dwarf with a battle axe or, a club or something like that, usually in some like full armor. But here we have a dwarven thief. I never thought that dwarves were very agile characters, but, it's kind of wild to see, a dwarf in that role. That's not something I'd seen before when playing the game or anything. Then we cut back to Imgigzu, who is, he's just going on about, again, freeing all of his people from the Eye of Saloon, as you see him doing here. Okay. Cibriana is like, I need to do something. I'm stuck here. My friends can't find me. I have no way of contacting them and letting them know what this guy Imgigzu is doing, until she then realizes, wait a minute, maybe I can do something. And she casts the spell Bloom, which makes flowers appear, okay? And I guess the flowers are kind of blowing through these tunnels, and one happens to blow past Timoth. And while Timoth is showing them the flowers, Onyx is just like, you lackwit, what are you doing picking flowers when we have to do all this other stuff? And Timoth is like, wait, don't you see these flowers don't grow down here and everything? And Vajra is like, you're right, this should be a sign from Cibriana, and we should follow these flowers. It might lead us to where she is, okay? Now back at Saloon's Eye, we have Luna, the tavern owner, sitting there, and she's praying, basically. She's looking in, this, I believe they called this a mirror. It's showing her what's taking place with her adventurers, and she's praying that, the silver light of the moon can help them with their victory, okay? And here we have Imgigzu again, and apparently all of his army is being released from the gem. And, Cibriana's like, no, this can't be. And then, of course, they show up in time to try to stop this, okay? So they attack. Now, can I just say here, they attack. We get this one, kind of cool picture here of everybody jumping in. But they are easily dispatched within seconds. It's like we get this one picture of them fighting, and then boop, 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 boop. Everybody is taken out, like, almost immediately. And it's like, okay, maybe they could have been outnumbered. I don't really feel like that's what we're seeing in this picture. And just 2 pages ago, we saw Vajra take out somebody with her arm in a sling without even trying. But apparently they get captured. Okay. And Luna is still here praying and trying to give them, the strength they're going to need to win this battle. And we have Imgigzu speaking to Agravar. So we remember Imgigzu had killed Agravar's father and also hit him with the Staff of Withering. And he sees here that Agravar is back and it's still, fighting against him. So now he's like, I will kill you with the same spell that I used to kill your father and get rid of you as well. When suddenly the roof to his tower begins to open. Now, I'm going to say this again. This one cracked me up as a kid as well when I was reading this. It's like, who dares tear open the roof of my domain? that is one of those sentences you never think you would write or hear somebody say. I just find that hilarious that when that's going on, I'm more upset that there's somebody doing it than it's actually happening. So I don't know. That's just wild to me. And then all of these guys are like, the light of this moon. So it's obviously Luna's spell or prayers that cause this to open up in order to let the light of the moon in, which blinds these creatures. And Cibriana's like, you need to strike now because these creatures are stunned and the moon's got them. So this is your chance to do it. And as we see here, Agravar takes his blade and throws it into Imgigzu, killing him. And the second that Imgigzu is dead, the cage that was holding Cibriana disappears. And Cibriana grabs a hold of Kilili. But Kilili is like, you idiot, stay away. Don't you realize that if we touch, something's going to happen? And Cibriana's like, of course I know this. That's why I'm touching you, because once that happens, we'll become one again. And we'll have the good and evil parts put together into one being, okay? So that being, while they're fighting each other, is flying up towards the eye. And the rest of the party is watching this, and they're just like, they don't know exactly what happened to Cibriana. They don't know what's going on here, but they do know that she's kind of fighting for her life, as she's also like, doing something to this Eye of Saloon. She vanished into the eye, and now the eye begins to suck up all of the army of Imgigzu back into it. And then once that happens, they're all gone, and the rest of the party is like, everybody's gone now, everybody's sucked back up into the eye, but we lost Cibriana. So we paid a heavy price for this. But just as they say that, this woman here shows up, and they're like, wait, there's Cibriana right there. But they're like, wait, is she Kilili or Cibriana? And she says, I'm kind of neither, but I'm both now. So we've been combined into a new person, and that new person will have a new name. As you can see here, she's no longer blonde. She actually looks much different from Cibriana, but she's going to go by the name Kiriani. So now she's a whole new person with the good and evil parts of her brought back together, okay? And they return back to Saloon Smile and let Luna know of their victory and present her with the Eye of Saloon, because they feel like this is the perfect place for that. And they keep hinting around that Luna is actually the moon goddess Saloon. They always kind of point that out and like, here are the clues and everything. It's like a little running gag going on through this, when I think it's pretty obvious that that's who she is. But Luna takes them into a room where she has an old chest, and she's going to present them with gifts for saving the Eye of Saloon and keeping these creatures captured. She also lets Agravar know that if he takes off the Gauntlets of Ogre Strength, he has his strength back, because when Imgigzu died, the spell was broken. To me, that just seems like you would keep the Gauntlets of Ogre Strength, because it would still make you stronger, but he's just happy to have, his strength back. But, he took off the gauntlets, and I don't think he wears them again throughout the comic. But apparently, Onyx is going on, and he's talking about how, he would enjoy stealing these things instead of having them, offered to him as a reward or whatever. It was more fun to steal this stuff. And he's just wandering through and checking doors, and he's like, okay, this cabinet's not even locked. And when he opens it up, apparently there's a bunch of colors and stuff going on here. We don't get to see what Onyx sees, but apparently it knocks him out. And Timoth is like, shouldn't we wake up Onyx, because he's going to be upset that he missed out on getting a reward. And Luna is like, oh, but he's already gotten his reward. He just doesn't realize its importance yet. And then it is over. So that was the end. So finally, we're done with the 4-part opening story of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, where we got, a good character introduction for everybody. I like that we started off with Cibriana and Kilili, and then they formed into Kiriani. I thought that those were all very good ideas that played out really well. And in the future, we end up having another transformation taking place with that character, but we'll see that when it happens. I have the complete Justice League Europe drawn by Bart Sears. And I have to tell you, that was one of my favorite comics with some of my favorite art. This is when I liked Bart Sears the most. As we can see here, nobody drew Power Girl better, in my opinion. We're going to go through those one day. I just have to pull them out of storage because I would love to go through that again and read those. Okay, guys, so this was Advanced Dungeons & Dragons number 4. Thanks for watching. This is the end of that series, but I'll continue to do the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons comics because I do believe I have them all. If you like this video, please hit like. It helps my channel grow. And right now I'm trying to basically advertise that I'm a comic book artist, and I'm currently working on a comic of my own called Ghost Girl. And that should be completed within the next month or two. When it is completed, I am going to have it printed and put up for sale. If that is something you think you might be interested in, if you would like to support me in that endeavor, hit subscribe so that way you'll get any information, any new information about that as it comes out. All right, guys, so again, thanks for watching, and until next time.